couple of months after my 40th birthday, I found myself in the cardiac critical care unit of the hospital. A few days prior, I had collapsed while working out at the gym. A nuclear stress test revealed that my heart function was compromised, and I was sent to see a cardiologist. Now, I was in good shape and good health at the time, so the cardiologist believed that I was probably dealing with a minor blockage in one of the smaller arteries near the back of the heart. The course of action was to have a heart catheterization, find and clear the blockage, put in a stent, and send me home. I awoke to the news that I had viral cardiomyopathy and congestive heart failure. Over half of my heart muscle was dead, and if I didn't receive a transplant immediately, I might only have days to live. I just knew that my life was over. Even if I did manage to stay alive, I could no longer walk across a room without becoming weak and exhausted. All I could focus on was what I had lost. The dreams, the hopes, the passions that would never come to fruition. That was nearly 10 years ago. And not only am I still alive, but still with only half a heart, no transplant. As I look back on this chapter, I realize that I have learned a lot about myself and about life. Recently, I was asked what I would say to someone newly diagnosed with heart disease to help them get through it. And as I thought about it, it became clear to me that this is applicable to anyone who has a heartbeat. So let's conduct a test. I'd like to ask you to take 2 fingers, place them on the side of your neck, and find your pulse. Can you feel your heartbeat? Then congratulations, you meet the criteria. So as I continue to share, I'd like for you to think about the challenges or setbacks that you may be facing in your life. The first thing that I would say to you is that in the face of life's challenges, seize every opportunity to reclaim control of your life. You may have fallen victim to something beyond your control, and you may feel powerless. But the sooner you can rise out of that mindset, the sooner you can begin regaining your power and find new meaning in life. In my story, without even realizing it, I began taking tiny steps to reclaim control of my life while I was still in the hospital. My physicians told me that I could go home when I could walk a mile in a single day. The measure of success, 22 laps around the cardiac critical care ward. Given my weakened state, this felt like a completely impossible task. My first attempt consisted of walking with assistance from the bed to my room door and back. I will never forget how incredible it felt the first time I was able to complete 1 full lap around the ward without having to stop and rest. I began taking every opportunity I could to walk. When friends and family would visit, I would ask them to walk with me. I kept track of my laps on a dry erase board. There were setbacks. One evening, I was so determined to meet my goal for that day, I pushed too hard and went into a dangerous tachycardia. I guess out of some sort of punishment, the doctor wouldn't allow me to walk for the next couple of days. It took almost 2 months for me to accomplish that goal, but I eventually got strong enough to be able to go home. And the day that I completed that mile, I felt like Rocky Balboa making it to the top of the Capitol stairs. One critical step, I strongly encourage you to begin building a support system right away. It takes more than a single step or a single resolve to break free of victimhood, and you don't need to go it alone. Enlist friends, family, professionals, support groups, social media, just to name a few resources to help you reclaim control of your life. But remember, as important as a support system is, they can't do the work for you. So, Let's check your heartbeat again. Do you feel it? So you're still with me. As a transplant candidate, I was instructed to find a good psychologist to help me manage the emotional roller coaster that I would and did encounter. One of the first things that I had to work through was grief. Grief manifests itself in many ways, some subtle and some very obvious. You just heard Terry Pugh beautifully describe the process and, more importantly, the benefits of grief. And if you missed it, I encourage you to go and listen to her talk. During my therapy sessions, I latched onto an image of a blacksmith forging a horseshoe. Now, I, of course, was the horseshoe, being fired, hammered, and cooled at the hands of the blacksmith, completely powerless over what was happening to me. And then one day, I had a shift in perspective that literally changed my life in an instant. When it occurred to me, I could be the blacksmith. I can't change my circumstance. Much like a blacksmith cannot change the physical laws that dictate his craft, but I can decide how my life will look within the parameters of my situation. It had taken years of placing one foot in front of the other, both physically and emotionally. But that day, I stepped into a wonderful new place where I was completely in charge of my destiny. Indulge me again. Let's check for that heartbeat. And ask yourself, what first steps can I take to reclaim control of my life? They don't have to be big steps. It often helps to start with something simple and practical, like walking was for me. The second thing that I would tell you is that your dreams, passions, your sense of purpose don't die in the face of seemingly insurmountable obstacles, but rather they evolve and adapt to changing realities, but only if you allow them to. Your dreams may very well be shattered, but as you begin taking control of your life again, you'll realize that you have a remarkable opportunity to pick up those pieces and fashion them into something equally as beautiful. Prior to my diagnosis, I had been pursuing a dream to be an entertainer. I had been chasing this dream since childhood, had some successes, but I had full faith that I would see the dream come true. However, my illness and newly limited physical abilities robbed me of all hope of ever realizing those dreams. In time, my passions began to resurface. So I began to explore different aspects of the entertainment world. I started volunteering with the Nashville Opera Association and the Nashville Children's Theater. I joined the board of HustedDance, the founder of which, Elaine Husted, is performing at today's event right after me. I began producing, directing, accepting a few smaller but significant acting roles, and I worked with my husband and a dear friend to open up our own production company. Over the last few years, I've received my very first awards for acting, directing, producing. I received a First Night Honors Star Award for contributions to my local theater scene, and my company was nominated for the Nashville LGBT Chamber of Commerce Leadership in the Arts Awards. My body no longer allows me to pursue every dream that I would like, but it does compel me to focus my energies on those opportunities that are most meaningful to me. The third and most important thing that I would tell you is just live. Your life didn't end with your illness or your setback. I spent the first couple of years after my diagnosis literally waiting to die. And then another few years trying to figure out how to live again. My gaze was so focused on life pre-disease and on finding a purpose in life with disease, I was completely missing out on the wonderful gift of each new day. You see, life doesn't wait for your dreams to come true, and it doesn't wait for you to figure out how to cope with the hurdles that you come up against. Life keeps living every second of every day. When you learn to live in the present, you can find beauty, satisfaction, and meaning in even the most mundane moments of life. I am not healed physically. For every good day that I enjoy, I face 2 or more days when I can barely get out of bed. I used to dread these crash days, but I'm learning to embrace them as wonderful opportunities to not only recharge my batteries, but to dream new dreams. So indulge me one last time. Let's check your heartbeat. And as you feel your pulse coursing through your fingertips, ask yourself these questions. Am I living? Can I find a silver lining or a new dream in the face of obstacles? Am I willing to accept the things that I cannot change? Am I willing to change the things that I can? In the late 1600s, philosopher H. Bartley penned a Mother Goose-style rhyme that I would like to leave you with. He said, "For every ailment under the sun, there is a remedy, or there is none. If there be one, then try to find it. And if there be none, then never mind it."